Okay, we're live. All right, Union. So, Kim, thanks for bringing your group here. We're happy to meet with you guys and talk about the future. Let's start with wage. Let's just jump right into it. Um, we'll start and let you guys know that we do want to give a very competitive wage. We want to take care of those in our community and in your union. However, we cannot keep paying you at the rate that we have been. To give you some statistics, the top three average wages that have been paid, they average out to $8.67. We've been paying over $10.50. We do need to change that if we're going to continue with our wage, and we would like to propose $8.75 so that you are all getting more than the average wage of all the other firms.
Okay, explain to us why, with your record profits, you're thinking that you need to decrease our wages by almost $2 an hour.
Got that, Brad? You can just...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd like to turn the time over to my
well,
VP.
Your team can help you.
One of the reasons would be because we are, in order to bring our profits up and to make sure that we are profitable, we have to build a new building. And in order to do that, we need to first make sure that we are getting all of the right materials. And we want to make sure that we can do that reasonably, and we want to actually keep it in the town. But if we can't cut costs somewhere, then we have to move it out of town.
Ooh. This is after the move. We're in 1983, right? This is after the move.
Oh, are we? Well, I don't know where we're at.
Yeah, it's after the move. So it's 2 years before we're supposed to renegotiate in 1985, but it's 1983, and you guys want to talk about wages. But it's after the move. We're already in the new plant. There's all kinds of injuries going on because of the production and stuff like that.
Yeah, and speaking of the injuries, one of the things that we'll be able to do with the decrease in expenses from wages is have better training and better management in regards to safety, so that all the employees feel safe and taken care of and well managed, rather than just throwing them into an unsafe environment.
Kim, can I jump in?
Yes.
All right, Brad. So, you think that decreasing our wages is going to help with training, because you're going to be able to spend more in training when you already have some of the highest quality workers now that have been working in your plants for the last, I don't know, 40 or 50 years, and it's been pretty much family that has come in and out of the plants. But you want to decrease our wages when you have record-breaking revenues. I'm thinking we're going to swing the other way. You wanted to do kind of a 40% decrease, and we're thinking we're going to do a 40% increase.
Not going to happen.
Well, if it's not going to happen, then what do you think our reply is on a decrease?
Well, I think the biggest problem for us, yes, we have seen some profits increase, but we've also had to hire new people and bring them in. And we need to train our current employees on the new machines that we're working on. And then we add the new workers to those old workers who are there, who still are learning the machines, and they're training these new workers. So we've seen the injuries increase astronomically And we need to figure out a way to balance it. And if we don't cut wages, we won't be able to implement and put the money into the training and the proper safety protocols we need in order for it to all work safely.
If you want to increase your revenues more and decrease costs, your costs of the lost time injuries is really where you're looking at then what you would want to do is go back to the incentive program, the group incentive program, which then we train ourselves and we train new employees, and we have a more focused and reasonable production rate. The production rate that you have set us at is much higher, and which is causing your lost time wages, your lost time injuries substantially. We have never had this high of injuries before we went to the non-incentive. When you took the incentive, the group incentive program away, came about. That's why you've had to hire new employees and have different training, which had more accidents. If we would have never walked away from that in the first place, we'd still be very profitable. You'd have lower costs because you wouldn't be having a turnaround in employees, which would then increase your revenues more so because you're lowering your costs. I would suggest we then go back that way, but we're still not taking a pay decrease.
How can you guys train other people successfully if you yourselves do not know the machinery to work properly to decrease those accidents both to new employees and old employees?
Well, the training would still need to come into play for at least team leads, or the group incentive would have a team lead that would be trained on it, and that would go down and be trained on site as employees of the group. But you would have to reduce what you want produced every day. The production rate that you have is unreasonable at its current rate. It's producing more injuries at that rate.
But we can produce twice as much in half as much time. Why would we do that and cut our profits versus just extending or, lowering your expectations?
Well, just because you're producing twice as much in a little bit of time, your costs have almost tripled because of that. Because the injury rate is costing you more. People are your most expensive asset in any business. And if you keep having to hire new ones and retrain them, it's costing you more money and more time.
Okay. So what price would you guys propose?
We would propose staying at $10.69.
Yeah, we want to be reasonable, but we don't see any reason that we should have to take a pay cut. There's no reason.
So the one of the main reasons, other than the things we've discussed, is obviously the price cut will be able to improve the overall quality of our company and our firm. But we want you still to be the top paid employees out of all the different firms. We want you guys to be treated the best, but we do need to cut it down if we're going to increase the productivity and the overall well-being of the firm as a whole.
Well, we hear you, but we know that we're valuable. We know that we are the cause of your big profits that you have, and we're not willing to take a pay cut.
We do agree that you are very valuable, and that's why we want to pay you better than anyone else. But
$8.75.
If you want to pay us, then pay us.
Which we are, but we don't want to seek, temporary or permanent replacements, which will be very happy to come in and get the wage that we're proposing. We don't want to do that to you guys because obviously you're great workers, and frankly, we want to keep you. We want to make this work, but we do need to cut down on our cost in order to keep being one of the top firms in our industry.
Okay, we hear you. We are standing firm at 10.69 an hour. We are our members are willing to strike if they have to take a pay cut. So you can ponder those consequences too.
Okay. Well, we can't do 1069. We see very clearly that you're not willing to meet the 875, which is better than anyone else. We will be willing to go into the $9 range. But in response to the strike, it's not going to do any good. With the wages we're willing to pay, we can get permanent replacements very easily with what we're paying. We're paying better than anyone else in the industry. So I hate to say it, but you guys will just be out of a job, and frankly, we'll get new employees very quickly. It's not the easiest. It's not the funnest. It's definitely not best for our firm, but in the long run, it'll pay itself off. But we will be willing to go up to the $9 range. If you guys will work with us, we'll work with you.
I think we're staying at 10.69.
Okay. I didn't read in the discussion what happens if we don't agree.
You guys are aware, though, once the contract ends, we can void the contract completely and can fire you all immediately.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, just making sure you guys read that part.
Yeah, we read that part. But we
Okay.
also read the part that we actually don't have to negotiate for 2 more years.
That's true, you don't. But we will have the right to do that, and we can lay you all off immediately.
Okay, so we're gonna move on. I've got my I don't know, assistant sending me some good text.
Cheaters!
No, it's good, but it has to do with, I think, the next portion of our discussion. So we'll basically move on because it still has to do with wage in a sense, even though we didn't necessarily agree. So we're gonna agree to disagree for now, and then we'll move on to the next section, which says, hold on one second, let me get back to it. Okay, so when you finish, write down the number you agreed to and make sure everyone knows what it is.
Do we have to agree to something?
It says we do. However, well, it's kind of weird because then the next part, we're negotiating the contract, but part of negotiating the contract for us involves the wage. So I kind of want to combine it all.
Okay, then we have to come up. We have to come up with something because we write something at the end.
Yeah, so in the end, we have to come up with a number, but I feel like it's okay if we don't have it right now because we're still going to use the wage to negotiate the contract. If that makes sense.
No.
So when we're negotiating the contract, there's certain things that we
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
we want, and we'll be willing to meet your needs with the wage if you help us with. Anyway, we'll
Okay.
get to that. But yeah, we can't stop until we have an official number. So.
Okay, well that makes us more amenable to making something work here.
We can't just fire him. I'm happy with that result.
Yeah,
Oh, you're so mean. Don't be mean.
that would be an easy write-up for me.
I'm thinking like done. Let's get it over with. Walk
When it
away,
asked
move
me
on.
and Kim to write up what was our final contract, just be like,
They were fired.
union was fired. Anyway, all right. So it says, now your teams are ready for the 1985 negotiations. So we're moving on to the next year in the timeline. If you are the Adam Baxter Company, you need to read the Baxter Corp 1985 negotiations. I believe on our end we've read that already. And then if you're the local 190, you need to read their negotiations. Have you guys all read that?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll skip I've already done that, so we'll move on to about a 20-minute discussion or negotiation on a final contract. So round 2. We'll start with you, Kim.
Okay, we have 4 areas that we're worried about. They are having an incentive program like we used to have before. I'll just tell you all of them, and then we need to talk about each one. The work rules, you know, how they were all kind of taken over by management, layoff and hiring procedures, and then the wages again. So let's start with the incentive program. That used to work really, really well. When we were given, you know, a certain amount of production that you wanted every day, and we were able to reach that goal, and there weren't the injuries and all that kind of stuff that's going on. So we would like to see something like that come back in some form.
Okay. We're focusing on the incentive program right now.
If you want to, do you want me to just talk about all of it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, make your proposals for different topics, and then
Okay.
we'll.
And then another area that's just really sad for us is that we have no voice in establishing ways to get things done. We're just put in there and told what to do, and you guys are not taking into account a better way to get things done or a more productive way to get things done. We need to have some more control given back to us. We need to be able to find different ways to meet the quotas, which would be in your best interest and in our best interest.
Agree.
Let's see, the retirement stuff. We feel like for layoffs, we want to keep the 52-week notice, and they should be, if there are layoffs, they should be determined by seniority only. The people who've been around longer are obviously better employees. They know the business, they know their jobs, and they understand how to do them well. So any layoffs should be last in, first out, I would say. And then the laid off workers should also have a way to be first offered the jobs when they become available again. And then we need to talk about the wage too. We feel like because of the increase in sales and the net earnings that it's reasonable that you share some of your earnings with us or provide us with a better wage. That's it. You guys still there?
Brad, you're muted.
I'm still muted, sorry. All right. So, you know, there's a lot of things I think we could agree with. You know, you guys are clearly set on keeping your wages, which with the current conditions, we can't keep it the way it is with the wages. However, if we did change some current conditions, we can consider the possibility of keeping you guys at the current wage, which would make all of your employees happy. They'll be getting paid well over the second closest firm, which, you know, we can be happy with as long as it makes it worth it and other aspects of the well-being of the firm. For example, work rules, laying off and hiring, we hardly have any control as management. And as managers, we need to be able to do what's best for the firm. If somebody needs to go, if it's time for someone to go, or you know, whatever the reason is, we need to be able to manage. That's why we're there. And in the current conditions, we can't do that. You know, we have to give them a huge, what's it called, notice in advance, a 52-week notice, which isn't practical. It's not helpful in any way. And frankly, if somebody knows 52 weeks in advance that they're being laid off, their motivation is going to go way down. And so we need that to change. We need to have more control over the layoffs. And also the hiring is huge. We want to hire when we want, who we want, and who we think is going to be best. So if you guys are willing to work with us on that and give us more control over the hiring and firing, as well as some of the work rules, we'll work with you with the wages and consider bringing back an incentive program.
I think that sounds great.
Okay. It's not the answer I was expecting, but okay. That's great.
No, we're willing to work with you. We don't. Go ahead, Sterling. Do you want to say something?
No, I was just about to say that we're willing to work with you. We're not unreasonable, even though we seem like we might be.
Cool. All right, so let's work on writing up a contract then. So let's base it off of keeping you guys at your $10.69 wage.
Okay.
Okay. And you guys also wanted to implement some kind of incentive program again, right?
Yeah, but that kind of goes against what you were saying about wanting to have control of the operations and stuff.
Okay.
The incentive was to get the work done faster or in a better way or something. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one.
So what doesn't work together?
Well, your part talked about just wanting to be in control of all of that.
Of like the incentive program?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we would be in control of the incentive program. We would implement the incentive program.
Okay.
We would set those, set the production quota.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just want something more reasonable maybe than it is so that it's better for both of us.
Okay. We can definitely figure out something that sounds good to all of us.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I don't know how to, we'll just say that the management is going to work on that one.
Okay, sounds good.
What else was there? The laying off stuff?
Yeah, so basically what our agreement is we'll keep you guys at your wage, and we'll bring back a similar incentive program. Even though we'll be managing that incentive program, we will work with the union to make sure we're in agreement with what that incentive program is.
Okay.
With the condition that we have control back of laying off, hiring, and work rules. Because that's why we're there. We're there to manage and lead. And if we can't make any changes in who we're working with, who needs to be there, who doesn't need to be there, it makes it a lot harder for us to be successful in the long run. So if you guys are willing to, give us more control over that, we'll give you guys the same wage and work to bring back the incentive program.
Okay. So just give us something reasonable, though. The 52 weeks is too much, but give us something reasonable so that it's not just an instant layoff, maybe.
Okay. I could agree with that. Chelsea, Melissa, what do you think would be a reasonable amount of time?
50.
I'm thinking I've seen 3 months.
Yeah, I
12
think
months?
3 months would be good.
12 weeks?
Yeah.
That's plenty. I think
I
that's
can live with that.
pretty fair.
Okay. And then hiring, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. We want to be able to hire who and when we want.
Okay.
We will definitely look into, the seniority factor of it. But if they're not the right one, or they're not the most qualified, we need to be able to have control over who's going to be best for the overall success of the firm.
All right. I'm willing to agree to that. Is that okay with you, Madeline and Sterling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
This is a tough process. It's a miracle that anything ever gets done. It's hard.
Everybody always has something up their sleeve, like, oh, we can hold it close to the vest now, and then, just wait. And then if we don't have to play it, we won't.
Okay, so we've got our little contract. Go back to this. Okay. So this is write up the final contract as a team. I just put kind of some notes from our discussion on a Word document. If you guys are okay with me just kind of doing a final edit on that, I'm totally willing to, unless you guys want to.
No, just go ahead and then send it to me, I guess.
Okay.
I have to submit it too with
I
my.
think, yeah.
I'll send it to you, Kim, and you can edit whatever you want. Mine's probably going to be really simple and brief.
I can put it into my stuff too. Whatever. Okay.
Okay, perfect. The last thing, it says, direct your team to reading the debrief and endnotes. They can tell them they can read it on their own. It is due by the due date number 2, and there's a quiz to complete with it. So it doesn't seem like we have to do that together. I think we can all do that on our own time.
Do it on your own.
Yeah. The only thing it did mention earlier, it said when you finish, write down the number you agreed to and make sure everyone knows what it is. So I'm thinking maybe on the quiz it's going to ask everyone what our agreed upon
Amount
rate
is.
was. So just know that it's $10.69. We're keeping it at the same price.
Okay.
All right. And I think that's it, guys. Anything else?
So let's stop this broadcast and then talk about the doohickey thing for just a second.
Perfect.